Hi guys, welcome back to the Humble Gamer channel. I am the Humble Gamer and this is the next part of my Sodor Snippets series. We are going along the main line. We are going from here at Tidmouth, which you've seen before, all the way along the main coastline as far as Gordon's Hill, which is just here. We'll talk about in detail the places we're going to visit as we go. But we're driving Donald and Douglas today with a very big, long freight train that should test the Scottish Twins quite nicely. And yes, so we're here at Tidmouth, which you've seen before, so we won't go into too much detail about Tidmouth. If you're brand new to the series, you can check it out in episode 1 and 2. This is a basic overview. Now, along the main line, things you guys need to know is that it's still a big work in progress. It's the longest, unsurprisingly, it's the longest route on the entire map. It runs all the way, I'll show you just here, runs from just Tidmouth there, all the way along this white line, and then this white line here, all the way up. It splits there, you can take either way, as far as Vickerstown and Barrow there on the British mainland. But we are going to be driving Donald and Douglas, so let's get going. Because we have a schedule to keep, because we're going to stop in Wellsworth Yard to drop off some of the goods. Got to stop at a couple of other places too. Slow it down because we are technically speeding. Again, if you want to check out the models that you'll see, you've obviously seen Thomas already come on in. If you want to check out all the other Sodor models, you can do so in the description below. If you're brand new to the channel, check out the other playlist, the rest of the playlist in the description below, and also my train sim stuff in the description below as well. Now, there's a couple of things I'm going to talk to you about during this run. First of all, some of you who've been on the channel for a while, or certainly recently, may remember that back in October I tried to do this, and this happened. Oh, holy heck! Yeah, so I've now fixed that issue. Percy will not be on the same track as us, and there will not be a crash. Must be nearly out of the siding by now, surely. Yes, there we go, that's better. We can put the speed up a little bit as we come out of Tidmouth Station Throat. Obviously, railway fans amongst you will notice we're going wrong road for a little bit, but that will change very, very, very swiftly as we will swap across to the up main line roundabout now. There we go. That should keep us completely clear of all other traffic, provided I've got all my sums right. If you are a train sim route scenario designer, or a route designer that does scenarios as well, you'll know just how troublesome sorting out scenarios is, particularly when you've got lots of trains on a route. I thought I'd got it fairly simple, but apparently I've obviously made a mistake during route building and not told it exactly which way. Sorry, I missed a whistle board there. I haven't told it exactly which way each track runs, which is the up and which is the down. This will not be a high-speed run because, of course, we are pulling a goods train, and there are certain speed limits. I don't think we can go much faster than 40 over the entire route, just for, you know, Sodorian health and safety reasons. But we've got to stop at Knapford as we come through the opening of the main line here for Tidmouth. It's 4-track all the way. Now, there are going to be 3 videos in this. The first one, obviously this one, is going to be going from Tidmouth through to Gordon's Hill. Then from Gordon's Hill we will catch a different train. Don't know if that will be pulled by a Thomas the Tank Engine or it will be pulled by a real-life engine for reasons I'll explain when I get to Gordon's Hill. But yeah, so it's going to be, and then after that we'll go from Gordon's Hill to Kildane, and then we shall go from Kildane through to Vicarstown. There will obviously a lot more routes coming up. This is the last Sodor snippets of this year, because of the way my schedule works and because of the way life works at the moment. I don't have as much time to record as I would perhaps normally have, just because, you know, obviously A, I've just moved house, so things do have to be sorted. B, I want to spend some of Christmas just with Charlie. I don't want to record all the way through Christmas. I do want to give myself a break. But yeah, so once we get to Knapford, which is coming up very soon, about 1.8 miles, we shall be pausing for a second, and just making sure that everything is running properly and that Percy is on the right track, because he should be. Yes, and he should stay there. I don't think there's a junction he can cross until he gets to Knapford, which there is. I don't think he actually cross from there onto this track anyway at any point. So this one is actually going to work properly. We're seeing a lot of coastal stuff in this because, of course, the Sodorian Mainline is very coastal. Not something they showed off particularly well in the radio series, in the original TV series. They're starting to get better at it now, but it's still not perfect. They haven't really got the coastal feel of it, but hopefully I have, certainly this section of it anyway. And if you want to read up on the history, someone asked me, someone mentioned a website, or asked for information about the map, because obviously the map I have is a map that you guys can't actually get anymore unless you've got a lot of money, because this map here, just while I knock everything off the shelf, this map here is actually currently out of print, and you can find it on eBay, but it costs at least £100. I've seen it go for more than that, which I find frankly ridiculous, but that's the cost of things going out of print, particularly if they're popular, I suppose. So we're now coming up to Knapford Junction, which we didn't actually see in any great detail in the first video, because this was a musical section, which obviously it hasn't been thus far, because I wanted to have a chat about it. But yes, so as the two twins make their way, you've got some fields on the outside, you've got a little football stadium here, and then Knapford itself, along with its little harbour down here, which I think I did feature in the in video 1 of this playlist. And then, of course, once you get to Knapford, you've got Thomas's branch line splitting off up there, and the main line going that way, which is where we're going. If you want to see that route, Thomas's branch line, check out video 1 of this playlist. But either way, until we get to that, let's come back to the twins. And I've got to say again, I've said it many times in these videos, but these models are really, really, really lovely, and the cabs are beautiful. It does make you feel like you're actually inside the engines. Yeah, so not much to say about this point. For this point, there's lots of stuff I want to say, but I'm going to save that for later in the video. So here we should maybe not pass Percy, but we should see him very shortly after Knapford, which I will slow for now. Release the cylinder cocks as we come in. Actually, in the first video, this is where James and Henry had their crash. I'd not long got past this point when James and Henry had a crash and had to be replaced by, I believe it was Donald and Edward actually replaced them. So it's lovely to see two engines working in tandem on a nice big long goods train. Once we get out onto the actual main line after this stop, we will be opening the taps and making them work as long as on our way to Wellsworth via Crosby. But yeah, so let's just apply the brakes, because Knapford's quite a long platform. We do have to pause here because that's what I wrote in the scenario, mainly probably so I can have a chat to you about Knapford itself. Because this is one of the things the railway series got wrong, certainly the Britt Allcroft series, because Knapford was only ever a junction. In the original railway series it was used as the main station. If you see all the signs, and still is to this day, it's still used as the main station, but that's not the case. Tidmouth was always the main station where the engine sheds were, and Knapford was just the junction for Thomas's branch line. Obviously, I have made my railway slightly larger than the Reverend Awdry intended. I think he only ever had 3-track main line, if not double-track main line, I think, for most of it. Reasons for that will be coming out, will become clear quite soon in the new year, as I do have many plans. So either way, we've done our pause. So let's really open the taps on these two and get 2 locomotives working beautifully in tandem along a good stretch of main line. So yeah, so I shall see you next, probably at Crosby, guys. So we're now coming into the seaside town of Crosby, which, as you can see, is a fairly picturesque place. The sea is just over there. I mean, it's not bang on the coast, the station, but it's, you know, it's close enough. The engines shall rush through Crosby, but I'll take you for a look at the station. So, excuse me. You can see nice old town again, football pitch in the centre. You've got all the estates over there, the church, a lot of very seaside stuff. You've got a bowling arena, ice rink, a bit of goods yard over here, and let's get a good shot of Donald and Douglas as they go through what I think is quite a nice little station really here at Crosby. Nice and open, apart from obviously the wall at the back here, but the approach to it is quite nice and open, so let's give them a bit more tap, shall we, as they go through. So about 6.5 miles from Wellsworth now. Should be there in about 10 minutes or so. Obviously you won't see all of that as they rush off. We'll get rid of that for now. So we can go and have a look at, obviously Crosby has a goods yard as well. Obviously we had nothing to deliver there today. Fairly functional little goods yard, quite large. You know, can take some serious trains, but the one problem with Crosby as a route builder. Hello, baby. Oh, thank you. I thought I was going to do that.
That's okay. Come.
Thank you, beautiful.
Stacey, get out of there.
The one problem with Crosby as a route builder is these, the crossovers, because they are a bugger. Not those ones so much. These tiny little ones here. They're much too quick. Much too sharp. But either way, we'll catch up with the engines now. Here we are. And I shall see you in Wellsworth. So we're now at Wellsworth Marshalling Yards, which is just behind Wellsworth Station, which you saw very, very briefly when we did Edwards branch line in video 3 of this series, I think. I didn't actually show you Wellsworth in much detail. Wellsworth Station has its car park above it. That's something I've added on top of everything Reverend Awdry gave us, because he didn't really go through strictly what the stations look like. Obviously you've seen the station itself, which is over here. Obviously it's quite a big, I think obviously you've got 2 platforms here that deal with travellers down to Brendam on Edwards branch line, and you've got the 2 down main lines. If you go to Tidmouth, the 2 up main lines, and then behind it all you've got these large marshalling yards, which today are very, very empty apart from our train, which will be heading to Gordon's Hill in a second. But Ellsworth itself, you've got just outside you've got the church here, and then you've got the hospital and Wellsworth Abbey over there. So there's the hospital, and there is Wellsworth Abbey. There is the River Wells. Sorry, the River Rhea, I think it is actually, that goes through Wellsworth. So then you've got Wellsworth town proper here. But we are going to carry on at a relatively fast pace to Gordon's Hill Station. Now, this is not really a musical section because I have some reasonably exciting news that I want to share with you once we get started. So I want to use it's going to take us about 9 minutes to get to Gordon's Hill, so I want to use those 9 minutes to talk to you guys about what's going to happen with the Sodor map and what's going to happen with the island of Sodor as a whole. The first thing I'm going to say is that I've had a lot of people asking me why I haven't released this route on Steam or UK Train Sim or somewhere. There were a couple of reasons behind that. I did mention them in Toby's branch line, but I think it's best to reiterate just to make certain that everyone understands where I'm coming from. Until very recently, Thomas the Tank Engine was owned by Hit Entertainment, and Hit Entertainment are a ridiculously litigious company. When other people tried to put Thomas the Tank Engine stock on UK Train Sim, on UKTrainSim.com, there was actually a cease and desist order issued by Hit Entertainment to UK Train Sim, and they threatened to sue if they didn't take the stock off their website, which they did. So a lot of Thomas the Tank Engine stuff for certainly Microsoft Train Sim was taken straight off UK Train Sim. It was gone. Obviously, Hit Entertainment never found out about these particular models that were made wonderfully. Again, check them out in the description below. But also, Hit Entertainment now no longer own Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas the Tank Engine is now owned by Mattel, who seem to be much less litigious, so they're much less likely to sue people. Obviously, I'm not the only YouTuber to use these models from this particular website. They are all over YouTube, and not just on channels like mine, on big channels that have massive subscriber numbers, and they haven't been taken down or cease and desisted. So that would lead us to believe that Mattel are a bit more open to community work regarding and including Thomas the Tank Engine. And I have been looking at Train Sim, and the Yorkshire Flyer gave me a couple of ideas, as did some other people who've been watching on the channel. And the first big announcement I'm going to give you in the next few minutes is this: over the next 12 months, the Thomas the Tank Engine My Sodor route will be released in sections. I'm not entirely sure whether it's just going to be on Steam or through the workshop, or whether it's going to be through my own website or through here. I don't know, but it is going to be released. So over the next 12 months, over 2018, I'm going to release certain parts of this route. Obviously, that will take time because the other reason I was very, very reticent to release this route is because there's so many assets on here that aren't downloadable via Steam. They are from UK Train Sim, they're from all over the place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the route out into all its little sections, and then I am going to streamline each route, taking out the assets that that can be replaced by Steam only assets, basically stuff made by Dovetail Games. Once I have done that, I shall be uploading all of them, all the separate parts, to wherever I decide to upload them. And once that happens, you guys on the Humble Gamer channel will be the first to know. So to answer one of the many asked questions about this route, it will be released. It will be released in sections. The first one will be Thomas's branch line, the Callan Valley route, or Tidmouth to Ellsbridge if you prefer. And they will all be standalone little routes. This route is huge. It takes about 10 minutes to load up on Train Sim on my current computer. Obviously I'm getting a new one and I'll see how it goes after that. Then I might streamline the whole route, and that will push things back a bit, but I might streamline the whole route and release the whole thing one day. So if you want to design scenarios for everything, that's absolutely fine. That is the first big announcement that I want to make. The Sodor route, as made by me, the Humble Gamer, will be released in some way, shape or form over the next 12 months. It will be released in sections, so you will get Thomas's branch line probably from Knapford as far as Farquhar. You will get the Little Western from Tidmouth up to Alsborough. Basically all the routes you've seen here will be the ones that you get released first. I don't know whether they'll necessarily all be finished or whether they'll still be work in progresses, but that will come to that closer to the time. Like I said, I shall announce each route on here first before I announce it anywhere else, so you guys will be the first to hear about it. The second big announcement I have is someone asked on my last video, which was one of the Duke's railways, Duke's Old Railway, the Mid-Sodor Railway route. They asked if I was going to be remaking Thomas the Tank Engine episodes. I'm not going to do that. That has been done a million times over by several YouTubers. What I am going to do, however, is using this route and the assets that are provided by the link down the description below. I am going to be doing my own railway series, written and narrated by me in the style of the Britt Allcroft original TV series, and of course inspired by the Reverend Awdry's work. Just as we go past the junction for Edward's branch line, just take you back. You have seen this in Edward's branch line video, but that's Edward's branch line down that way, and we're now getting into the less scenery bit of route up there. These are railway cottages. This particular thing was actually inspired by a real thing on the Settle and Carlisle route in real life, where the signalman had to cross the track to get to the signal box, and those are the railway cottages up there. Anyway, I digress. I shall be creating what I'm calling the Modern Railway series. Now, like I said at the very start of this video, you'll notice that I've made the route bigger than the Reverend Awdry did and probably would have been in real life. That is all because of that. I've set this, obviously I haven't set it in the 1940s and 30s and 20s and 50s when the Reverend Awdry actually said it was 40s and 50s. I think the first one came out in 47? No, it might even have been 45, I think 3 railway engines came out in 1945, but I'll check my history in that one. In fact, if you want to know a lot of Sodor history, check out the website down below, which is pegansean.net. It will take you straight to the real lives of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's a very, very interesting website to read. I recommend you do, not even just because you're a Thomas fan. If you're a fan of railways, it's well worth a read. But yes, so coming at some point in 2018 with the Humble Gamers Modern Railway series. They are all original stories narrated and shot by me using the assets from the description from the link in the description below. But that's all coming next year. As I've said, I wanted to get that out this year because this is the last video of Sodor Snippets Are We Doing. I didn't want to just give it a vlog or anything. I wanted to give it its due so you can see Sodor. But those are the two big announcements. The route will be released in sections, and I'm going to be doing my own railway series, so please do come back to the channel for those. Like I said, it'll be over the next 12 months. As you can see, we're going back to our journey now with Donald and Douglas as we're about 1.3 miles away from Gordon's Hill. See, we're running through a cutting. This is obviously, again, scenery for this bit of the route is currently it's definitely a work in progress, but all the height mappings, I've just got to paint it and put the details in. Actually, I'm quite proud of some of the height mapping on this. From this point on, I want the main line to have a very sort of Settle and Carlisle feel, hence why the Settle and Carlisle inspired bit back there. Yes, that's going to be an old quarry, I think, at some point, maybe taken over by a lake or a farm or something like that. When I say that, I mean this section here, so you can see the sheer walls One thing I like to do when I'm height mapping, any route builders on Train Sim, comment down below if you do the same thing. When I do the height mapping, I like to do it quite randomly and then just see what the game throws up. See if there's a place I can put a bridge or a farm or something like that just sort of naturally occurs. To quote Bob Ross, some happy little accidents, and this particular route is full of happy little accidents. But yes, we're going to stop very shortly because we've reached Gordon's Hill. I shall have my hot chocolate made for me by the wonderful Charlie. Give Charlie some love down in the description below, guys. But yeah, so these two have actually performed quite well. We managed to keep up an average speed, I would say, of around about probably about 46, 47 miles an hour. I know it's not a massive goods train, but it's long enough, and it would be fairly heavy. Yes, here we go. Now, Gordon's Hill I have taken a liberty with because obviously in the railway series there is no station at Gordon's Hill. However, unfortunately Gordon's Hill is a 5 mile 1 in 50 ruling gradient, and a lot of steam locomotives cannot handle it. So as they do in the railway series, there are bankers, steam locomotives that connect to the back of a train and help push an engine up the hill, or push a train up the hill. The problem is, Train Sim has no real facility to do that within a scenario. So, I knew I would have to ignore the fact it's called Wilton the Weir. That's just the the station I've nicked from the Weir and Teesdale route. But because it doesn't have the facility to add a bunker to your train in scenario, the easiest way to do it was to have a place that engines would naturally stop, i.e. a station, and just every time I wrote a scenario for it, if it's going through Gordon's Hill, if you're not starting there and you're not finishing there, end the first part of the scenario there, which is what we're doing here, and then connect engines to the back. We're not going to do that. We're going to take a different locomotive up the hill, which starts pretty much immediately. Gordon's Hill itself has got a little bit of scenery. As you can see, it's got the bridge and everything. There's going to be some houses here. I'm going to make Gordon's Hill a small village, basically. But we've now completed this scenario, so we'll get a good shot of Donald and Douglas before we leave, as they wait in Walton the Weir station, or as I'm calling it, Gordon's Hill. But yes, so again, thank you very much for watching me. Thank you very much for supporting me through this entire year of Sodor Snippets. It wasn't a series I was ever expecting to do, but thanks to you guys, you're the ones that gave me the desire to do it, because you guys are the ones that have come into it. So, oh, bye Donald and Douglas. Yes, so thank you very, very much for supporting Thomas the Tank Engine this year, and the Sodor route, and in fact my Train Sim stuff, and in fact the channel as a whole. You guys really have made it a very special year. So from where I started to where I am now, it's been a phenomenal year. But either way, I don't want to get too mushy because there's going to be stuff like that coming up very soon anyway. But thank you guys very much for watching and supporting the Island of Sodor. Like I said, it will be released sectionally, episodically, I suppose you could say. And I'm doing my own Sodor railway series, the modern railway series, in the new year. So thank you guys very much for watching. I was me, that was my Sodor route built in Train Sim 2018, along with assets from the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Look at things like Railway Modeller, the magazine, or any modelling magazine. Other ones are available. I'm not being sponsored by Railway Modeller or not at all. Although Railway Modeller, if you're listening, Pico through and through. But what am I doing? What was that? It's like when you build a model railway, you sort of, you put the track down, you're like, well, I want to run a train on it. Oh, but it doesn't look quite, it's not finished. And I want to run my trains, damn it. And so I shall.